Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the politician, the author, the thinker, Bruno Le Maire.
Thank you, Dominique. Thank you to all of you to be here. It's good to be back in Berlin. Ich möchte gerne meine Konferenz in Deutsch halten, aber es würde mir erklärt, dass nicht alle in diesem Raum Deutsch können oder verstehen. So will ich in Englisch sprechen. Französisch ist wahrscheinlich keine Option. We are in Berlin. We are in a European capital that 36 years before lived one of the most prominent events in recent history. The fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the communist era. I remember 1989. We all thought that it was not only the end of the Cold War, but the absolute victory of liberal democracies, of peace, and of free trade. 39 years later, the exact contrary happened. Liberal democracies are challenged by authoritarian regimes everywhere in the world, from China to Russia. War is back in Europe, and trade has been weaponized. Everywhere in Europe, far-right extremist parties are increasing their influence and gaining elections. Whether it is the AfD in Germany, the Rassemblement National in France, or the UKIP in the UK, the result is the same. People feel angry and ask for radical changes. I leave to historians the response to the question, what went wrong? As a political leader, I would like to focus on another question: how to make Europe great again. And I will propose some responses. My first response will be quite simple. If Europe wants to be great, Europe must understand that we are a great continent, that we have a great history, and that we have great assets. To be proud of ourselves, instead of getting rid of what we are, could be a good starting point. Complementary to that, we must act united, avoiding useless divisions among ourselves that just lead to the weakening of our project. The lack of unity is always a path to decline. How can we act together, since we are 27 member states? Radical changes in the decision-making process are urgently needed, and I will mention 4 of them. But everybody here has to understand that without radical changes in the decision-making process, there is no possibility for Europe to face the challenges of the 21st century. There is no possibility for Europe to face the competition with China and with the US. We must extend the qualified majority rule and get rid of the unanimity rule in some sectors, like the international policy or the fiscal policy. Unanimity is a dream, and a dream that does not fit with reality. I've been advocating for the Capital Market Union for 7 years as a finance minister. I'm very close to the Luxembourg. But when you have France, Germany, Italy, that share the same view on the Capital Market Union, and that one single country representing 600,000 people opposed that project, the project should be adopted and implemented. Second, we must merge the President of the Council and the President of the Commission. Why do we have so many presidents in Europe? This is not a sign of leadership. This is a recipe for weakness. We must get rid of the rotating presidency, which means changing our strategic priority every 6 months. China has had the same strategy for the very past 20 years on industry, on innovation, on politics. And in Europe, every 6 months, you have a new president of the council explaining, well, my first priority is climate change, fine. Then 6 months later, my first priority is the automotive industry, fine, especially in Germany. Then you have a new member state having the presidency explaining, my priority is China, fine. But between China, the automotive industry, and the climate change, you have to choose one single priority to get some concrete results. And fourth, of course, to get a more effective decision-making process, we must build on the French-German relationship, which remains at the heart of the European construction for one single reason. We are so different that when we come to an agreement, it means that the agreement can be implemented for the 27 member states. My second response, how to make Europe great again, will be more provocative. We must acknowledge that we have been wrong on many issues. Recognizing its failures is a necessity to change the course of action and to make Europe great again. We have been wrong on energy, which is a major topic for the success of our industry and our economy. Our dependency to oil and gas supply from Russia was a mistake. Our refusal to invest more in the nuclear energy when China is engaging the construction of 2 to 3 nuclear plants every year was a mistake. It is urgent to ensure sustainable and cheap supply of energy everywhere in Europe if we want to meet the challenges of both carbon neutrality on one side and economic competitiveness on the other side. The two objectives are not the opposites, they are complementary. We have been wrong on free trade by refusing any kind of protection to our industry. It is not realistic to think that we can face the competition with the Chinese EVs without new trade rules, without joint ventures, and without IP transfer, not from Europe to China, but from China to Europe. Let's assume that we are lagging behind and that we now need the help of the Chinese technologies. We have been wrong on the Capital Markets Union by delaying its entry into force, and as a result, large parts of the European savings are currently funding not the European SMEs, not the European economy, but the US economy. We have been wrong in regulating before innovating. Let's regulate the European innovation instead of refusing the European innovation and regulating the foreign innovation. We have been wrong in thinking that the US would indefinitely guarantee our security. These are the points on which we need a radical new thinking if we believe in the future of the European construction and the European project. We must also recognize that major steps have been taken to draw the consequences of these mistakes. As an example, I would like to mention, of course, the decision by the German Chancellor to invest more in defense. That's good news for all the 27 member states of the EU. Or the decision by the French President to resume our nuclear policy because we need to be strong on nuclear. But new decisions must be taken rapidly to fill the gap with the US and China. I think of the Capital Markets Union. I think of the necessary simplification of the rules, getting rid of the red tape. I think of the support to innovation, of the improvement of productivity to get more prosperity. I think of the building of a strong defense industry. On all these topics, my proposal would be to have France and Germany signing together a new treaty between the two nations, building on innovation, AI, defense, and capital union. This new treaty could be the starting point for the renewal of the European project. Because my third and last response will be a more philosophical one. We must change our mindset. Let's forget talking about reforms. Let's have a new mindset for Europe, a more ambitious one, a more positive one. We must restore confidence in the future. One of the core of achievements of Europe has been the welfare state. We should be proud of that, of course. But we must also understand that we will not build our strength and our prosperity for the future on the welfare state. We will build them on innovation and boldness. We will build them on confidence in the future. We will build them by promoting a European model based on the values of liberal democracies, the success of a decarbonized economy, and the unity of all European people around their history and their common memory. Das ist ein weites Feld, but this is the good way. Thank you.